The reaction to my Metroid Hidden Influences video has been amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch that one first, then come back here, because this is the bonus chapter. Made possible by Patreon supporters like Ben Golis, Kay Savitz, and Billy Voda. Previously, on Metroid Hidden Influences, I made the case that Metroid's biggest influence isn't Alien, but rather Space Cobra, a Barbarella-inspired comic that was adapted into various forms of animation. In response, viewers shared Cobra-related observations of their own. Did Johnson's trusty robot Ben make a cameo in Super Metroid? Did the green jewels around Jane's neck inspire the off-model Zero suit in Metroid Hunters? And my personal favorite, did the talking computer screen in Barbarella inspire the talking computer screen in Metroid Dread, or at the very least, the Emmy Zone doors? However, it was Twitter user GSK who sent me a lead on what might have inspired the titular Metroid creatures themselves. Metroids, of course, are energy vampires that start out very small and grow in size as they feed on various life forms. Although traditionally depicted with scary teeth, the earliest concept art for the Metroids portrayed them with small tentacles. They're essentially space jellyfish. I touched on a few potential influences in my previous video, like the space jellyfish in Baraduke or the space jellyfish in Underworld, but neither felt like the smoking gun I was looking for, mainly because they were both missing a key Metroid behavior: head glomping. Before I can take any space jellyfish into consideration as a potential Metroid influence, I really need to see some head glomping, because space jellyfish are actually more common than you might think. There's a long history of space jellyfish in science fiction, going all the way back to War of the Worlds in 1897. And even that was likely inspired by jellyfish encounters in earlier science fiction stories like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. For more on the history of undersea anxiety, I recommend watching Jacob Geller's recent deep dive on the fear of big things underwater. Did I just say deep dive? No, I didn't mean that as a pun, I was just... Look, my point is this. War of the Worlds was also available in Japan, where it inspired Space Invaders to introduce the first space jellyfish in a video game. And from there, who knows what inspired what? All we know for sure is that there were no space jellyfish in Space Cobra. Or were there? As I noted previously, the Space Cobra animated series followed the original comic pretty closely, with just minor differences in tone. Book 5 of the comic, adapted into 4 episodes of the show, was a violent take on the sports genre, where Cobra infiltrates a team that plays the sport of rugball, a deadly combination of American football and baseball. But the 4 episodes contained absolutely nothing related to Metroid, unless you count Smash Brothers. So when I got to book 5, I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just skip this one. And that is where I went wrong. Because where the adaptation ends with Cobra winning the big game, the comic continues with a short epilogue about the day after, which quickly transforms into an obvious homage to the movie Alien. In this bonus chapter, the Galactic Patrol is terrorized by an energy vampire that starts out very small but grows in size as it feeds on various life forms. And once it becomes a full-size space jellyfish, it attacks people by, would you believe it, glomping on their heads. We have glomping action, people. And if there's any doubt left in your mind that Cobra is Metroid's biggest influence, well, let me show you one more thing. Although the creature never made it into the animated series, it did get animated into a commercial for a handheld game. The Psycho Gun is an LCD game that takes place from an overhead view, which unintentionally gives the impression that Cobra is rolling around on the ground. This concept appears to be the basis of a minigame in WarioWare Twisted for the Game Boy Advance, a game produced by Metroid co-creator Yoshio Sakamoto. The minigame was named Mutroid in English and Nakoroid in Japan, Nako meaning cat. But according to a developer interview in Nintendo Dream magazine, it was originally called Nakobra, a punny reference to Space Cobra. The name was changed for obvious reasons, yet they left the main screen illustration largely intact, including Nakobra's imitation cigar, which just might be the closest we'll ever get to a direct admission from Nintendo that Metroid's biggest influence has always been Cobra. If that just blew your mind, please consider supporting this channel on Patreon. This video was made possible by patrons like Joshua Altstadt, Null Blowhigh, Violet Field, Ben Golis, Jeff Hungerford, Steve Lynn, Stephen Maruzak, Phil P., Roger and Kaylin Richardson, Ryan, Kay Savitz, Rob Schmuck, Jason Scott, Sella Janella, Sembiance, and Ender Wiggin. Thanks for watching.